What's good, family? What it do? What it do? It is me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Broadcasting Community. Shout out to Envision Photography and Videography. If you are in Baton Rouge, Prairieville, Donaldsonville, Plaquemine, Thibodaux, Patterson, any of these surrounding areas, and you need videography, photography for commercials, music videos, parties, events, weddings, so on and so forth. Hit up Envision Photography and Videography, Marlon Harvey on Facebook. Shout out to the Louisiana All American Sports Network, and shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. In this particular episode of the Coaches Show, I'm going to talk about which unknown player on Southern University's team will step up this coming spring, but more importantly, this coming season. Now, usually on Saturday mornings, myself, my brother 7A Sports TV, the general of this organization, and my brother Jared 11 Green, we do a live stream on the wire. Uh, Today, it was supposed to be episode 9, season 1, game day. However, we pushed that particular wire analysis show back until next week. If the law stays the same and we don't have any, hiccups or issues next week, and then we'll proceed with that show. But since, we didn't do that particular live stream today, and we're going to do it next Saturday, be on the lookout for that for those individuals that love the wire the way we love the wire, come check us out. But I decided to do a real quick pop-up live stream since we didn't do our wire analysis show. I'm getting ready to leave and go take care of some business. So I plan on being here for a good time. However, not for a long time. So let me just get it out the mud, just get straight to the point. Every season, Southern University has players that you didn't know going into the season or you didn't know going into the spring step up and, do well. And for the most part, these players tend to be on the defensive side of the ball. Like I remember a couple springs ago, it was Trey Lance. Defensively, Southern University always has players that for whatever reason they step up and they excel. That's why when you know people talk about like all the holes Southern University has defensively, like for example, if you look at the front four, Southern University is 4-2-5. Kelby Gibbons is the only returning starter. Davin Cotton is gone. Big Willie Miles is gone. Darius Harry is gone. But you have Kelby Gibbons, who was the SWAC co-defensive player of the year. You got Vincent Page on the next level. And in the secondary, you have Herman Bristol the third. So defensively, you have three building block players to work with. But defensively, you have a lot of holes to fill. And if you go to the offensive side of the ball, you have Kendrick Grimes, who's going to return for one more season. And you have Jalen Woods. However, which player is going to step up on either side of the ball, even in a special teams phase or aspect of things, because, when Ruben Beauplanks left year before last after his last season, I don't mean to be down on Kenny Lee fan, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. He didn't exactly light the world on fire. And, Joshua Griffin won't be back. So, it's going to be imperative that, you have players step up in all three phases of the game. Primarily offensively, but definitely in the special teams game and definitely defensively. So which player is going to emerge to, and when I say unknown player, I'm not talking about, hey, we don't know this person even is on the planet or this person doesn't exist. I'm talking about which player on Southern University's roster that isn't a household name yet. And like I said, there's always a player like a Taj Brown, like a Corian Harris, like a Jordan Carter, especially defensively, that always steps up and emerges and becomes a household name defensively. And I think that's part of the issue with Southern University's team, since the defense really has been carrying the team for the last few years. You might have a couple players step up offensively, but in terms of the star caliber players, they seem to be more on the defensive side of the ball than on the offensive side of the ball. And not only that, some people think that Southern University's scheme defensively is much better than the scheme offensively, whereas other people think that basically Southern University has had more talent on the defensive side of the ball than on the offensive side of the ball. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see which individual player steps up, either defensively or offensively, or even in a special teams phase of things. Because definitely from a special teams aspect of things, you definitely need a good punter, a good kicker, but more than anything, you need an elite level dynamic punt and kick returner like Southern University has had years past, like a Fred Bailey, a Kenyatta Sparks, a Willie Quinn, Ezra Landry. You need that type of player to emerge as a punt and kick returner, because Southern University has not had that type of guy in a long time. In all actuality, I'll probably say they haven't had that type of guy since a Willie Quinn, to be truthful. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. And a lot of players, for whatever reason, a lot of people think that this particular player, Sydney Country Humble, they believe that he's going to be the player that's going to emerge and kind of become a household name amongst members of Jaguar Nation. I don't know if it's something they see in him, or they feel like he's that prototypical defensive tackle that could kind of be like a DeMarcus Miller, just be disruptive, or even maybe like a Jason Dumas, even a Taj Brown, even though Taj Brown played both a shade one, went from literally being a zero technique, shade one, all the way to a wide nine. So, they're just kind of saying that this particular incoming recruiting class, because they had 29 players in this particular recruiting class. A lot of people feel like, Sydney Country Humble is going to be the guy from this recruiting class that's going to emerge as the guy to be the household name, to be the defensive stalwart, to kind of go alongside, Kelby Givens. Whereas other people believe that Malachi Sticks Jackson is going to be the guy that kind of emerge from an offensive standpoint. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see how things play out in terms of which player is going to step up, which unknown player. And when I say unknown player, like I say, it's not like we don't know this player even exists, but we talking about a player that is not a household name, like a Kendrick Grimes, like a Jalen Woods, like a Kelby Givens, like a Vincent Page, like a Herman Bristol III, that type of guy. Salute to Joseph David. He said it would be nice to see the Jags make a special effort to improve team speed at the skill positions. There was a time when the team had a few track guys. And I ain't gonna lie, Joseph David, that is a extremely interesting point, because, when I talk about guys like, Kenyatta Sparks and Fred Bailey, like those guys were track guys. And they ran like maybe like a 10-1 in 100 or 10-2 or whatever they ran in 100 meter. Those guys were track guys. And you're right, Joseph David, like in terms of like from a team speed perspective, like Southern University team speed it's nowhere near what it once was in the 90s. It's not even on that level, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's crazy how uh from a team speed perspective, Southern University has dropped off so much over the years. And like I said, especially like in that early 90s, like when you had, just think about it, at one point you had Fred Billy, Kenyatta Sparks, Donnell Baker. Like all of these guys were like track guys. And it's like, it's crazy that, you know, you had so much team speed from a team speed perspective, but yet like really outside of like Kendrick Grimes from an offensive standpoint, for the most part, like this past season, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Kobe Dillon had been nicked up a lot, but really outside of maybe like Kendrick Grimes and Kobe Dillon, like from a team speed perspective, Southern University, you know, they really, you know, they didn't have no real game breakers or playmakers like they had year past in this, especially at the wide receiver position. Truthfully speaking, like Chandler Whitfield, he was like the only real threat I felt teams really had to respect from a receiver standpoint. In all actuality, when we talk about some of those teams from the 90s, as good as Chandler Whitfield was the last couple of years, truthfully speaking, Chandler Whitfield probably would have been like a number two or even number three receiver on those teams. And somebody like Darren Morris, he might have been like a number uh, 4 or 5 receiver. He might have been like a Altrivian Joe Barry type player, you know. So it's crazy. Salute to the brother Steve Wells, Swag Talk. He said he think uh Herbert Kalist is a breakout candidate at tight end. And as far as newcomers, uh like Jackson, Malachi Six Jackson, and Zacchaeus Malvo is a return and all-purpose guy. And like I say, a lot of people have been talking about Malachi Six Jackson, and also people have been mentioning Zacchaeus Malvo. So it's going to be interesting to see if like those guys can emerge and come to the forefront, because definitely from a team speed perspective, you know, Joseph David makes a excellent point. Like the team speed, especially from an offensive standpoint, you know, it's not what it was years past. Like I said, I mean, you've had so many good running backs come through Southern, like Lindsey Scott Sr., like Melvin Williams Jr. You know, of course, you had guys like Steve Warford and Ryan Lewis, uh, and you know Gerald Holmes. And not only that, I mean, you just had so many good running backs, but more than anything, especially at the wide receiver position, you know, if you take away like a Michael Hayes, you still had guys like I said, like James Vernon, Altrivian Joe Bear. You know, you had guys like Nemesis Bates. You know, you had guys like Fred Bailey, Kenyatta Sparks, Donnell Baker. I mean, from a team speed perspective, Southern University had used to have so much team speed, and they just not these past couple seasons. They let a lot to be desired in that particular uh, position. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this past season's team, I say definitely, but the team year before last, uh, when you had, you know, when you had guys like Allen at wide receiver, you know, you had Howard, you know, he was another speed guy. You know, you had Jalen Howard. You know, you had August Petrie the third, Cassius Allen. Uh, I ain't gonna lie, in that particular group, you know, I think that particular group had a lot of potential at the wide receiver position, but the issue was, you know, no disrespect to Harold Blood, but Harold Blood left a lot to be desired in terms of a signal caller. So I think that particular group would have had playmakers if they'd have had a quarterback like a Austin Howard, like a Bryant Lee, like a Quincy Richard, like a Eric Randall to get those guys the ball. But, you know, I'm sure, you know, somebody like myself, hey, if Jalen Woods would have had those type of weapons at his disposal, like like especially at the end of the year, especially when you was going against Jackson State in the SWAC championship game, if you'd have had a Jalen Howard, if you'd have had August Petrie III, a Cassius Allen to work with, man, I think that would have took your receiving core and your speed, especially at the wide receiver position, to a whole nother level. But at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see, a lot of names have been mentioned because, like I said, Southern University had a huge recruiting class. But like I said, I think the players that I've been hearing the most about in terms of, potential breakout players for this blue versus gold spring game coming up. And not only that, but for the 2025 season overall, like my brother C. Wells mentioned, Zacchaeus Malvo, Herbert Kalist, Malachi Sticks Jackson, Sydney Country Humble. These guys are guys that's been mentioned a lot. But it's going to be interesting to see, like, who emerges, who becomes, a household name after this blue versus gold spring game, coming up. I'll probably say, like, I don't know if they announce when the blue versus gold spring game is going to take place, but more than likely, it'll probably be the first Saturday, second Saturday in April. But it's going to be interesting to see when they have the blue versus gold spring game. But more than anything, it's going to be interesting to see which players emerge in the 2025 blue versus gold spring game. And not only that, which players emerge and become star caliber players and household names amongst Jaguar Nation in this 2025 season. But I have to kind of get on the road and go take care of some business. I appreciate Joseph David for stopping through, showing some love. I appreciate my brother C. Wells, Swag Talk. Y'all go over Swag Talk, check out C. Wells. He does an excellent job, being a tour guide around the SWAC. And not only that, when he touches on Southern University, he does an excellent job in terms of, breaking down Southern University as a team. A lot of my members of Jaguar Nation, they definitely follow. Individual that I went to Southern University with, I had an English class with him, English 111 class. Y'all go over, y'all go check out Carlos Brown. Carlos Brown, he's another one. He does an excellent job, breaking down Southern University and breaking down, things around the SWAC from a football standpoint and just all sports in general. So y'all go over and y'all go check out Carlos Brown. I have a Southern University band clip that's going to drop later on today. And I'm also going to do another Southern University video. And I'm also probably going to more than likely do a post-fight reaction to Dimitri Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev, Undisputed Light Heavyweight Championship fight. So I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal day. Catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings. And not only that, go Jags.